Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. This is John Yarbrough from Appulate. We're going to get started here in just a few minutes, so hang tight and enjoy the mid-month mixer. All right, everybody, welcome to the mid-month mixer. I'm going to be your host today, Johnny Yarbrough. I'm actually the agency ambassador from Appulate. With me today, we've got a couple panelists, Jeff Harris, our co-founder and president of Appulate, and Brooks Pearson, who's the director of agent relations from Axis Partners. So I'm really glad to have them here. Definitely give them a warm welcome. If you'd like to later, we've got a chance for you to ask some questions and raise your hand, and we'll go over that in just a second. We're going to be recording this broadcast, and we're going to put this video up on our website and YouTube. So if you weren't able to check it out or you wanted to watch the remainder, please definitely check that out later on. If you want to go to another webinar or would like to join us in the future, definitely go to our website. We've got a little button here at the bottom right-hand corner indicated by this arrow here. That's going to take you to our calendar of webinars coming up. We've got a mid-month mixer every month with different panelists who will be joining us, weekly webinar workshops, which kind of give you a bite-sized instructional workshop, usually around 20 to 30 minutes of instructions, and then an open floor to talk about maybe some issues you're having in Appulate. So that's a very cool thing. We're doing that every Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time. And then each month we're going to have different standard and premium training and much more. So definitely get on there, check it out. If there's something you're interested in, definitely RSVP because these are great and you don't want to miss them. Also, like I said before, we want to see some questions come through. So in your little side panel, you'll notice a couple buttons here indicated by these arrows. This first one's a little hand. This is going to give you an opportunity to speak. So if you click that, I'll ask you if you'd like to say some things, and then you'll be able to ask some questions for our panelists or even me if you'd like to at the end. And also, if you want to just go ahead and type a question in there, you're more than welcome, and I'll read that aloud at the end, and we'll answer those questions. So without further ado, I'd like to move this right over to Jeff Harris, let him introduce himself, and he's prepared a little slideshow for us that I think you guys are going to enjoy.
Well, thanks a lot, Johnny, and thanks everyone for taking the time to join our mid-month mixer. Happy summer. I don't have a lengthy talk track, but I was asked to join today to talk a little bit about Appulate, why agents and brokers are excited about what we do, and a little bit about directionally where we're headed. So I'm titling my talk track Disrupting the Disruption, and disruption is probably an overly used term, but disruption is definitely impacting the insurance industry more and more, and especially the world of the independent agent. A lot of organizations, as I'll share, are looking to try to disrupt the way that independent agents work, and in many cases trying to essentially go around you. And our mission at Appulate has always been to empower the agents. We're doing that not only through the use of technology, but there's some other things that perhaps you're not even aware we do that are helping agents to get more efficiency and effectiveness from their submission process. So that's what I'm going to highlight today, and then I'm going to pass it over back to Johnny and to our other guest, Brooks Peterson. So a little bit of background. You know, we got our start now about 12 years ago, actually 12 years ago in March, and we are a technology company. That is our, you know, that is what we do for a living. About 100 of us here. We're a group of predominantly engineers that are focused on building technology. But when we got our start, we were all about trying to create a tool for the independent agents to help them with all of those crazy supplemental applications that you have to deal with. Agents were struggling with having to complete all these individual supplemental forms, and we created automation to help reduce data entry on them. So that takes us back all the way to 2005. But in order for us to help agents further, we developed connectivity solutions that allowed agents to move data from their agency management system into those supplemental forms. We call that technology uplink, and we always say just appulate it. That means bridge your data from your agency management system, and that's typically what most agents and brokers know us best for today. And then carriers and other markets started calling us and saying, hey, we'd like to help our agents out by licensing your product for our agents and letting the agents push the button in their management system and move that data to us. So by 2012, that is really where our focus was, moving this data to various carriers and MGAs. By the time 2014 happened, we had over 10,000 agencies nationwide that were using Appulate, and it was a really big milestone for us, really confirmed to us that agents needed and valued what we do. Last year, we launched our Appulate 6, which was a tremendous iteration of our technology, and it offered a lot more value, a lot more bells and whistles to agents and brokers. And then today, here in 2017, a big focus for us is adding the ability for agents to tap into a lot of really exciting programs where they can go and immediately get instant quotes. So directionally, that is a big part of what where we're headed. So as far as the team here at Appulate, I mentioned that we're now over 100 people, and this is giving us added strength, added resources, not only to develop more technology for the agents and brokers, much of which, of course, we provide free of charge, but also to better support you and to provide resources like our webinars and other things. So we're very, very excited about it. And a lot of our successes come from the growing number of the independent agencies using our technology. In fact, today we have over 27,000 agencies using Appulate nationwide. This accounts for about 80% of all independent agencies. So this is an incredible number, and it's giving us a lot of clout and recognition in the marketplace just to do more and help agents. The 27,000 agencies are accounting for over 100,000 submissions. We're growing that on a monthly basis. It's just it's great to see the utilization of our technology really increasing. So the main focus, now that I've shared with you a little bit of our background, I really want to talk a little bit about our mission, because our mission is to empower, as I mentioned, the world of the retail agent. And there are a lot of folks out there that would love nothing more than to see you guys go away. In fact, there's an enormous amount of money that is going into disrupting your world. And we're doing a good job here at Appulate to track this. And I want to just highlight this, because if this is not on your radar, I'm not out to try to scare you, but I just want to make sure that our customers and network of agents know what's happening, because it really is a big deal. There's a lot of changes going on, but we are tracking more than 800 different insurtech companies in the life, health, and P&C space. Not all of these are what I would call disruptors, but about a quarter of them are. And these are organizations that are selling insurance directly to the insured. They are basically going around the agent and trying to offer programs and products directly to your customers. And it's a little scary, I have to be honest. And about 10% of these are even looking more like a carrier in what they're doing. And so maybe these are some names that you know. But interestingly, a lot of the money that's going into this space is coming from carriers and people that have long relied on the independent agents and brokers to drive a lot of the premium, and now they're kind of going against the grain and even themselves trying to disrupt. Not probably the nicest thing to do, but they think that that's the way that they're going to make more money. Our philosophy is that the independent agents matter and matter greatly. I would never ever buy insurance on my own. I'm a smart guy, but even I don't have the time or knowledge to really understand the coverages I need for our business or for my own personal life, and that's why I rely on an independent agent. So I wanted to just kind of take you through where we're going, and then I'll turn it back over to Johnny. But to kind of quote Socrates, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And I think the real theme that I just wanted to kind of share with everyone today is that, if we keep doing what we've been doing for the last decade, 2 decades, or 100 years, we're going to see diminishing returns because technology is taking over every different aspect of society. And one of the things that we are hearing anecdotally from independent agents is that when they're able to really embrace technology and take advantage of the things that are being offered to them, they're not only seeing higher margins, but they're also seeing a competitive advantage. They're able to compete during these difficult times. So again, on the topic of empowering agents, just to kind of tell you what Appulate's position is we're really marrying a technology platform with great products and programs. And this is helping agents earn more premium and earning that at a higher margin. It sounds like a pretty simple value proposition for agents. Obviously, behind the scenes to get there, it's non-trivial, and that's why we work really hard every day to do what we do. But ultimately, I just kind of wanted to share, the what's in it for you. I mean, what does Appulate really do for agents? Well, there's really 2 main things. First and foremost, we provide a free submission workflow technology, which helps you manage your submission process, and you can connect to a growing number of carriers and MGAs through the use of our technology, reducing your data entry and just making your life a lot easier. So that's something you can and should take advantage of. There is no cost, and we love serving the independent agent community. The other thing that we're doing, which is really exciting, is we're providing market access to a growing number of products and programs. These products and programs that we're providing are able to be rated, quoted, and bound in real time. So you push a button in your management system and you get to quote. And that's very, very exciting. That kind of real-time instant gratification is something that agents really want. And many of these organizations, because they're able to automate a lot of this workflow, are actually paying above average commissions. So they're giving agents back some of the margin because they're able to do business themselves better, faster, cheaper. So it's a really exciting time, and we have just a couple of programs right now, but over the course of the next 3, 6, 9 months, you'll see that blossom to probably dozens of programs, and we're only getting started there. So that's what I wanted to share today with my time. And again, thank you very much for your interest and support of Appulate. We really do enjoy serving the needs of agents and brokers, and we hope that you get value from your use of our technology. All right, back to you, Johnny.
Wonderful, Jeff. Well, thank you so much. That was fantastic, and I always love hearing that kind of stuff. It just gets me so inspired about Appulate. And I think we got some really cool stuff coming up as well. We've got Brooks Pearson on the line. I'd like to get him in here. Brooks, if you would love to go ahead and introduce yourself, I would appreciate that. Brooks is just fantastic, and I really appreciate that he came on here somewhat last minute. So, Brooks, feel free to take it away.
Thanks, Johnny, and thanks, Jeff. I always love hearing what you have to say about Appulate as well. I'm the Director of Agent Relations at Access Partners Insurance Services. We're a commercial wholesaler out of California, and we do only write business in California. But today I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to best sell workers' comp insurance. So this is going to be a very to the basics type of presentation. So I saw Jeff had some really beautiful, cool slides. Mine slides are going to fit somewhat of the topic and really breaking down the simplicity of what I think workers' comp is. And I think a lot of agents sometimes overcomplicate workers' comp when I think it's one of the easiest lines to sell, and it is a great line to lead with, and then round out those other accounts to help keep that business. So Johnny, if you don't mind, just go to the next slide for me. So just before I start, I wanted to give you guys an idea of who Access Partners is. So again, we're a commercial wholesaler. We write pretty much every PNC line here in California and have access to several, as you can see, A-rated carriers, some of the most competitive carriers in California. We've been partnered with Appulate from our start and have seen our business just grow tremendously because of the user base that's in there and the efficiencies that we're able to create from using Appulate and partnering with them as well as the agents and using that portal to get submissions out to our carriers. And really, from your side, it eliminates keystrokes, and from our side, it eliminates keystrokes as well, based off of some of those bridges to these carriers and some of the efficiencies in working within Appulate instead of doing everything via email or having to rekey data into carrier websites. So if you guys ever have any questions on how I can help you out with any of these markets and accessing them for any commercial policies you have in California, let me know. My contact information will be at the end of this slide, and we can talk further. But for today, I do want to break down how to best sell workers' comp, and I think to do that, you need to know, what type of agency you need to be running to get clients to want to work with you. So Johnny, go to the next slide for me. So an excellent agency needs to offer a trained and professional staff. So, I think along with that is responsive brokers and account managers. These are really they're the voices of your agency. When you bring an account in and you sold it and everybody's high-fiving, well, it's not over yet. You need to make sure that any new hires you have at your agency are up and running and up to speed so that they can be a good representation of your business, because at the end of the day, that can make or break if you keep a client for 1 year or 5 years. Next is some important things is having safety services to help prevent claims, or at least having good competitive carriers, as you see there, to help and leaning on them to use their safety services. But I think overall, just having an overall knowledge of the industries you're selling in and some of the pain points in terms of claim frequencies that happen in each of those, and being able to educate your clients on what those types of losses are, whether it's a restaurant and it's slip and falls or lacerations, and being able to educate them on what they should do to help mitigate those claims is really important and can help you be a true partner for them. And having access to competitive insurance carriers is a no-brainer. So, if you don't have direct access, finding companies like myself through Appulate to help you access those carriers is really important, and being able to help you give you that knowledge and that expertise to know, hey, this is a good carrier to send this type of submission to, instead of maybe sending it to 4 places that aren't going to be competitive. You're wasting the carrier's time, you're wasting your time, when you could really be going out there and selling policies that make sense for your insured. And then also having a strong insurance carrier relationship. So building that relationship with the carrier is extremely important. Getting them information quickly, giving them submissions that they can win on, and also building that relationship outside of just the policies. Having a good relationship with an underwriter can give you an extra 5 or 10 credits on every policy. I know that from experience, and if they trust you, they'll trust that the price that they give you is good. Same-day certificates is a no-brainer. If you're working with contractors, especially here in California, you got to turn those certs around same day. You're doing them a disservice if you're not. Next one, Johnny. So this one's extremely important. I think this is, something that a lot of clients don't do, is getting face-to-face with your top 20 accounts. So your top 20 accounts, and it might be, top 10 accounts, but they typically make up 80% of your revenue for the year. So think about it. I mean, you got 10 to 20 accounts making up 80% of your revenue, and the rest of them are making 20% of your revenue. You need to keep those accounts. And in order to do so, you need to get in front of those clients to make sure year after year they know who you are and that they are going to buy from you. Because if you're only a voice to them, there's a high likelihood that they could shop elsewhere, especially if they have a family friend in the industry or something else, some other type of relationship. You need to be in front of them. They need to know who you are so that you can keep that revenue in your agency. Next one, Johnny. And then a couple other things is just shopping accounts 90 to 120 days out. I think a lot of agents don't do this. I mean, I receive a lot of renewal submissions from agencies, 30 days out, 15 days out of the renewal, and be sure that you're blocking all the markets that are going to be competitive for your client and that you're, giving the carriers enough time to write it. Being on top of that and having that trained professional staff to, set reminders for themselves to shop that account out and ask for loss runs and fill out new subs if needed, or the best part about that is Appulate makes it really easy to do that. Once you have an account in Appulate, you can set up automatic renewals for 120 days out and reminders to send that out. So I think that's extremely important. Go to the next slide for me, Johnny. This is a pretty simple slide. I mean, I receive a lot of submissions that aren't complete. This is a complete submission. I mean, if you can get an Accord 130, a complete sub, and 4 years of currently valued loss runs, you can get a quote from any carrier. Now, if it's a bigger premium, they may ask for additional information if it's had a lot of losses or other things, and they may ask for, an XMOD worksheet, an inspection report, an explanation of losses or lapses, so either cause and correction to losses or a reason why they're in a lapse. And then also getting a target premium. So always provide your carriers or your MGAs or your brokers with a target premium, because we don't want to shoot in the dark, and we don't want to waste your time, and we don't want to waste our time. If we're not going to be competitive, then we want to tell you up front so you can move on and work with another carrier that may be able to help you or another account that you may be able to close. So and then on really large accounts, they may ask for financial information, typically over like $250K premium. Okay, so that's it for that one. Go to the next slide for me, Johnny. So here's how the pros shop for workers' comp. And I like to relate this to buying gas. So when you're buying gas, first you want to make sure that or when you're buying workers' comp, first you want to make sure you're comparing the right class code. So you don't want diesel if you need unleaded. So if you got a restaurant and you see that they're using the bakery class code, and they're not a bakery, they're a restaurant, then you need to make sure that your quote reflects the correct class codes. And the WCRB here in California is great to work with in making sure that you have the correct class code, and that's the first step, making sure. And some accounts may have 10, 15 class codes associated with them, and making sure that those are correct, especially for new ventures that maybe just are starting. And the worst thing you could do is write a business that with the wrong class code. At the end of the year, they do an audit, they find out there's additional classes, and your insured is owing more money. So that's extremely important. Next is to make sure you're comparing the same amount of payroll on all proposals. I know a lot of times I'll get a target premium or I'll get a competing quote from an agent saying, "Hey, here's the target," and they've the whole time been telling me the target was use a round number of 50,000. Well, that $50,000 target is based on payrolls that we didn't receive, different payrolls. So obviously the quotes are going to be different, the targets are going to be different, which is why it's so important that you sell workers' comp by the net rate. So this is the price per gallon that you're paying. So the net rate is extremely important. I'm going to show you guys how to calculate the net rate based off of a quote. So you'll always typically see the base rate. Some carriers will include the net rate on there, but if they don't, you'll need to know how to calculate that so that you know how to tell your insured, hey, if your payroll changes, this is the factor, this is the rate that you're going to be charged off of that either additional payroll or payroll that's maybe less after the audit is done. So go to the next slide for me, Johnny. So when you sell workers' comp policies on net rate, you're looking for obviously the class code, the payroll, the base rate, and the net rate. So do the class codes match up? with the other quotes that you're looking at? Do the payrolls match up with the other quotes that you're looking at? How does the rate compare with other quotes? And then lastly, making sure you are aware of the payment options that your carriers offer. So at the end of the day, if one carrier offers a 0% down and another carrier offers 15% down, and the 0% down offer is maybe a little bit higher, your insured may be inclined to go with that. So ask that question. Hey, if I can get you a 0% down offer, I know my quote's a little bit higher, but would that be something you'd want to move forward with? And I've seen deals close and people be able to close business just based off of that, having a little bit higher premium, but a little bit less down. Maybe they don't have the cash in the bank right now to do that, and and that makes sense for a lot of clients. So make sure you're doing that. And I'm going to show you a quote next. Johnny, go to the next slide. This is a proposal that we recently put together through Appulate, and we bound this deal. It's just a small deal, but wanted to show you an idea of what we're talking about here. So this is a restaurant, and I use the same numbers here based off the other slide. So 190 in payroll. You see the base rate of 502 there at the top, and the net rate of 341. So how did we get that net rate of 341? Well, you can see right there at the bottom is the formula. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the written premium, that's 6,472, and you're going to divide it by the manual premium, which is 9,538. Now, the manual premium is just the payroll divided by 100 times the base rate. That's how they got 9,538. Now, once you have that factor of the written premium divided by the manual premium, you're going to take that factor and times it by the base rate. If there's multiple class codes, you times it by each base rate, and that'll get you your net rate. So if you ever get a quote back from an insured saying, hey, here's the quote that I received and it does not show the net rate on there, tell them what their net rate is and then say, hey, look, I'm going to be trying to get a net rate for you better than this net rate. If you go based off bottom line, there could be issues there. So always sell off net rate. It's extremely important. And also know that territory factor could play a factor in that base rate. If one carrier has in this case, I believe this was in San Diego, they get an actual discount in that territory through this carrier that we sold this through, which affected the base rate and ultimately brought the price down, where another carrier may not have that same territory factor. So at the end of the day, the net rate is what's going to sell it and what you should be focusing on. So that was a really simplified version of how to sell workers' comp, how I would sell workers' comp if I was a retail agent, and how I educate my agencies and my agents that I work with on when I present a quote to them and how they should sell it, especially for new agents. If you got new hires, I think this is a great slide for them and a great presentation for them to help educate them on how to sell it. And again, workers' comp is a great way to start out, I think, in terms of leading with workers' comp and then rounding out your other accounts through that. There's a great statistic that my boss told me, and it's so true, is that if you have a workers' comp policy with an insured and that's the only policy you write for them, you will keep that client for about 3 years. But if you round out all their other lines on top of the workers' comp, you'll have their workers' comp and have them as a client for 7 years. So I think workers' comp is a great way to lead because you can find pain points in terms of either experience mod, or if you find someone who has a carrier that is maybe a little high for them, you can always lead with that and then round out those accounts. So Johnny, go to the next slide for me. I just want to show everyone my contact info. So there's my contact info. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. Again, just a reminder, we do only write business in California. We are an Appulate wholesaler, so you can access us through Appulate and send us submissions through there. We accept workers' comp and commercial auto and other lines through there as well. Happy to answer any questions off webinar or on webinar. Feel free to raise your hand once Johnny opens the Q&A, and Johnny, throw it back to you.
Brooks, thank you so much. Informative as always. That was just absolutely wonderful. Thank both of you guys for joining us today. And I'd like to open it up so we can have a nice Q&A section. Don't forget, and in case you joined a little later, on your little screen right there for the GoToWebinar control panel, you'll see a little questions area. You can ask a question, you can type one in. You can also click on the little hand. And what that'll do is it'll raise your hand so that I can click on you, and then your microphone will be turned on so you can speak and ask a question. Either one is totally fine. We've already got a couple questions in there. So I'm going to go ahead and start asking those. Feel free to start adding them as we go, and I'll read them off for our panelists. So the first one that I had was for Jeff. Jeff, what is the future for Appulate?
Well, the future looks really bright. I mean, we are a technology company, so we're constantly innovating. The version of Appulate that everyone's using today is version 6, and that's our 6th generation technology. We're already working towards version 7, which we hope to launch in early 2018. But a lot of our features and functionality are a result of the feedback we get from agents and brokers. So they come back to us all the time and say, hey, it'd be great if you could also help us with this, help us with that. Now, obviously, the majority of agents and brokers don't pay us any money for our solution, which is just fine. So, we can't create a lot of customizations as part of that, but we're always looking for ways to improve and help create more value. I do want to just touch on one more thing, Johnny, and I say this, it is a little premature to kind of call it this, but I think we really are building out a mall, a shopping mall of sorts. Again, not for the insured, but for the agent, so that when risks come in that maybe you don't have a market for, you're able to very easily and quickly access the best of breed group of programs and products. And, Brooks is one example of just a fantastic workers' compensation market that you can access very easily through Appulate. So I think that's where the future is, and I'm excited about it.
Awesome. And then this next question was for Brooks. You probably both could answer this, but what has been the biggest efficiency created with Appulate? And I guess probably from an MGA's perspective, that'd be a great question for you, Brooks.
For me, it's pretty simple in regards to efficiency is Appulate creates, if I get let's just put it like this. If I get a submission via email, and I know we've all seen them as handwritten accords, I don't receive any handwritten accords anymore. I don't have to key in tons of information into carrier websites because that information's already in Appulate for me. And all I have to do is bridge that data over, or possibly maybe key in a few carriers. But that being said, at the time, I mean, we're a small operation and we write a lot of business. There's about 2 to 3 employees that we have working here. At any given month, sometimes we have somebody working 1 month and then not working with us the next when we need help. But we're able to write a lot of premium with 2 people because of Appulate, because that those efficiencies are there, and because we have that database of agents to work with that know how to use the system and know how to upload submissions to us so that we can efficiently work with our carriers.
Awesome. I've got another question for you, Brooks. What do you think the best way is to look for new markets, and would you suggest MGAs or carriers?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you always want to get a direct appointment. It depends on your agency, though. So, for instance, if you're a smaller independent agency and you don't have the manpower to submit business to several carriers, or fill out, I mean, with working with wholesalers, say you're a single shop guy, you maybe got 1 CSR, and you can essentially use us as your additional team because we have access to all these carriers. We know the markets. You can send 1 submission out to 1 MGA and have 5 to 10 markets blocked, whereas if you have 5 to 10 carriers direct, you may have month or yearly minimums that you need to make in premium to satisfy that appointment, to keep that appointment. And also, the time it takes to send those submissions out to, 5 different, carriers that, you could do that through Appulate, but at the same time, that still takes time, at least some time to, key in some data. Whereas when you work with us, you still get a high commission payout, and we're doing all that back end work for you. Now, that being said, if you have a larger agency, then, and you got that support team, and I think it's important to get those direct appointments just because, you can avoid extra fees, or maybe you get a little bit higher commission. So I think having a balance between the 2 is important, depending on the size of the agency, either working with MGAs or working with direct carriers. It's kind of it's a convoluted question, but at the end of the day, it's whatever works best for you in terms of your time and how you can sell more.
Awesome. So this question's for Jeff. How many carriers do you work with currently?
So we have about 70 carriers today, but actually that's kind of a very broad question, or kind of maybe more, I should say, it's a misleading answer, because you can actually use us to bridge data to a lot of carriers that don't even work with us directly, and you can actually also use Appulate to manage your submission process for every submission you do. But yes, there are roughly about 70 different carrier markets that have licensed our technology to create that electronic data bridge, and it's a growing number nationally. So something that agents definitely want to take advantage of.
That's awesome. Well, right now that's all the questions that I had come through. So last call for any questions or any hand raising. If you'd like to join in the conversation, you're more than welcome. Would love to do that. So you got a couple more minutes here, and I'm going to go ahead and close it out. So last call for any questions. Well, all right, awesome. Well, guys, appreciate it so much for joining me today as a panelist. Jeff, Brooks, you guys were awesome today. Everybody else, thank you for joining in today's Mid-Month Mixer. We've got one every month, so check it out. Go to the Appulate.com website. You can go to /webinars, or go to the bottom right corner to click on the webinars to open up that schedule. And if you miss them, of course, all the webinars, including all the weekly ones, will be posted up on Appulate's YouTube page as well. So once again, thank you everybody for joining, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.